but a lot of filmmakers are currently in the stage of developing their films. And I'm wondering, with distribution in mind, what should they already start thinking about in terms of the assets that they will need to deliver to a distributor when their film is finished? Because I find that there's a lot of filmmakers who go, oh, I didn't know I was going to need that. So I was just wondering if you can outline some of those key
Yeah.
elements.
Closed captions. You have to have closed captions. That's the requirement. A poster that's layered, a layered poster. But I think the poster, once you have a really great film, the poster is the most important part of the film after you have a good film, because no one's going to click on. You have to have something that's clickbait. So you need something that's going to catch people's eyes when you're on platforms. File formats are 422 HQ. It needs to be stereo. And a lot of times people don't, they may export their file and not realize that they're exporting it mono. So both, left and right, it has to go up and down. And the easiest place to look at that is when music's playing in your movie. Let's see what else. Stills, we'll need stills. When you make your still it's used for the background, try to find a still with the actor or the subject on the right side of the screen, because on the left side, that's usually where the text is for the platforms. You need a trailer. The trailer needs to be it's like G-rated for a lot of the platforms. You can't have nudity in the trailer. You can't have cursing, excessive violence. You can't have somebody's head explode. It needs to be under 2 minutes. That needs to be stereo also. And ProRes 422 HQ.
Yeah. What about the sort of any legal requirements in terms of release forms, contracts, things like that?
You have to have all that, and you have to have all your music rights. And when you sign with us, you're signing that you have all that.
So we don't require that you actually give that to us, but it does say in your contract that you have all of those rights secured. So it's really, really important. Oh, I know another thing that's that's important now, and we can talk a little later about why, is that you want to make sure when you're doing your sound that you get clear dialogue tracks, because now we have the opportunity to distribute globally, and we need to make sure that we can have M&E tracks, which is just your music and effects tracks, separate from dialogue, so that your film can be dubbed into foreign languages. And we'll talk more about that later.
Okay, great. And the final bit on this, when people are currently in development, before we move into the sort of more kind of current distribution aspects, what do you guys think currently makes a film that is marketable? What are the types of films that you guys get that you go, yes, this is perfect? Because we've also heard from some distributors where they say, we sometimes get projects that we think are really, really good, but we just can't market them. And therefore, we just can't actually turn them into something that's commercial. So I'm wondering, aside from the fact that the film just has to be engaging and has to be good, are there certain aspects right now that a film can have which will make you say absolutely yes, this film, we can market it and we can make good revenue for this film?
Right now, we are not taking foreign films that are in another language, because we just cannot market a film that's not in English. It's really, really difficult. English in the United States is the core audience. I think it's 90-something% of all streaming right now for us is coming from the United States. So it needs to be in English. We turn down a lot of really beautiful films that are made in other countries just because once they sign with us and we put it out, they're going to be very disappointed in the numbers. So if you are in another country,
get it dubbed.
Dubbed in English, or a lot of times people make a film in English just because what the market is right now. They'll make the film in English. And then what works for marketing for us, a really good film that's it doesn't always have to have a star in it, but it needs to look like a studio film because the audience is expecting something that's high quality. Sound needs to be good. The image needs to be really good. And just because you're using a red camera, you've got to still light. A lot of times lighting a person's face may be dark, and just because they didn't put a little bit of light in the face. We look for that when we watch films. Also, subject matter. Like we would like, if you're going to make a film about skateboarding, you better be in the culture of skateboarding, and you better know everything about skateboarding, because later on, when you give it to a distributor, they may not know about that subject matter, and you need to be an expert in that subject matter so that you can market it to that to skateboarders or whoever it is.
Being able to identify some kind of niche audience, even if it's just a subtext of your movie, is really, really important, because you have to start someplace. So we always, look for films that do have some type of subtext that can be marketed. And what you want to stay away from, we're seeing right now a lack of interest in docs again. It's funny because docs can go up and down in popularity. And the type of docs you want to stay away from are like biographies about your grandpa who was wonderful but died of cancer. You have to be really, really careful. People want to be entertained these days. Ever since COVID, people want to be, they want escape films. They want films that take them out of themselves and away from what's going on in their lives, and be able to actually escape and or be uplifted. So you want to, try and stay away from that. I see a huge, number of films about drug addiction and even suicide and stuff. And while those are important topics, they're not popular, and so you want to make sure that you have a movie that people want to be entertained by and are willing to sit through. And pacing, I think, is really, really important. These days, you better have something happen right in the very beginning of your movie, right? Because most of the distribution now is on AVOD, and if you do not engage your audience right away from the beginning of the movie, they're going to bounce out and be gone, and you're not going to earn any revenue on that, and people aren't going to stick with your movie. So it's really, really important that you
and since
engage.
Everything's going towards AVOD, you want to make an edit of your film that can pass for like a YouTube channel, because there's a lot of money to be made in YouTube, and you don't want to not take advantage of that. So I always tell a filmmaker to make a director's cut, which may have some violence or some sex, and then you make a like a network cut, like they used to do for ABC television. They would right before somebody's about to have sex, maybe they embrace, and then you cut to the next scene. Or if there's somebody doing drugs, you can. I've done this before where somebody's about to do the drugs, and you cut to the next scene, so you can cut things out. The audience is still going to know what happened.
So it's like
Absolutely.
taking that Alfred Hitchcock approach of not having to show every little detail of it.
Yeah.
I think indie filmmakers have a tendency to want to be very edgy, and show all
And
of
shocking.
this stuff and shocking. And it's really going to limit, where your movie can be seen. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, have you seen any trends in terms of films that currently, perhaps last year, or you feel like this year, types of films that are doing really well because there is a real gap in the market for them? For example, we know that dramas are currently, there's always a lot of dramas and there isn't a huge demand for them. So the market is usually very, very oversaturated. But for example, in the last year or so, I've seen a lot of things going around that, for example, on Tubi, films with a predominantly Black female cast have been doing really, really well because was a real gap in the market for those types of films. And I'm wondering whether you've seen any similar trends of the types of films, perhaps on your in your company that are currently doing really well, and why that is.
I would say for the past couple of years, films, Black films with a strong female lead, that's done very well for us. But right now, I would say the past 6 months, it's just all over the place. And I can't older films that did well, 5 years ago, all of a sudden now are top film again. So, and it's all different genres. It's horror films,
thrillers,
dramas. all types. So right now, that's I don't really know. Everything's doing very well. Documentaries right now are not doing well. I can tell you that. Unless it's a
Okay.
super, I have one that's a music doc that's doing very well, but I think there was a book that came out before, and so the movie's kind of piggybacking on the book that did so well.
Yeah, and I think it always helps to have a pre-existing audience
Yeah,
that's sort of attached to that film, which always helps. Or even, having a real core audience, because I find that a lot of filmmakers, when you ask them who is this film for, the phrase that really scares me is when they say it's for everyone,
Oh, and that
because
gets
it means that they don't know.
in our submission form. How many people say that? Oh, everyone would like this movie. You know,
that means you don't know who it's for.
right. So it's
Yeah.
really important to really think about who your audience is going to be. And it's interesting. The truth of the matter is that we have successes and failures in all genres. Really, a lot of what it's coming down to, and it's getting more and more so, is that filmmakers have got to embrace marketing. It's critical, and you cannot be successful as an independent filmmaker these days unless you are willing to get involved in the marketing and embrace it and learn about it and start early. I mean, because there's so much that you can do to prepare for marketing. Even like all during production, people don't think about it, but every single person on your set, whether it's cast or crew, has a 4K camera in their pocket. And what we tell filmmakers to do is set up a place in the cloud where people can upload little videos that they're making and just save all of those until after it's time to release your movie. Then you'll have all of this incredible material that you can use for promotion. And it's stuff that used to be like extras on your DVD, right? Interviews with the cast and crew, and you also can, save all of make sure you save all of your outtakes and those behind the scenes type of stuff, because that's all interesting. People are very interested in filmmaking, and you can really, build up an audience. And the other thing is that um, it's critical for people to have a YouTube channel. Everyone needs to have a YouTube channel, not to put their whole movie on, because that you want your distributor to take care of. But clips, interviews, everything about it, and every movie that you've ever made should be on there, because what filmmakers kind of fail to understand is that they are the brand. Their movie is not, an individual movie is not a brand. It's not like toothpaste or McDonald's where you want people to come back over and over again to the same movie. No, you want people to build up an audience for their body of work. So I mean, it's like if someone says there's a new Christopher Nolan movie out, you don't really care what it is. You're going to go see it because it's Christopher Nolan, right? And you know his body of work. So that's what people need to do. And so maybe the first time, your first movie, you won't have that many people, subscribers for your channel. But as you build your body of work, you will build an audience all there in one place. The biggest mistake marketing wise we see people make is to make individual profiles on every site for every movie. And the next thing you know, you have
Yes.
30 or 40 profiles. No, for Instagram, for TikTok, for YouTube, it should be the filmmaker or your production company. And then
Yeah.
only on Facebook should you have an individual movie page. Every place else, it should all be you, the filmmaker.